Okay, thank you for joining us. And the Audacity is a quite ambitious project, alternative universal design of a city. And actually, I involved a lot of smart city project in the past, and they mostly failed, as you know, because people are so passionate about deploying technology and forget about people aspect, the humanity aspect. And then we decided, okay, yeah, we need to utilize technology and innovation, but I think you need to think about humanity first. I would say humanity rather than human, because human-centric is quite selfish, right? So humanity will include a lot of consideration, including environment and also yeah, things like that. So, and then today I start a new program, Misuto Unleashed. So invite founders around the world because Misuto is actually a broader community in the world. And maybe I share a little bit about. So we have more than 100, now almost 200 startup and also venture fund we are supporting across 15 countries, and last 5 years maybe deploy $400 million or something. And from northern part of Europe to Japan, Silicon Valley, and India as well, and also the now Singapore, right? So I like to invite the founders, sort of a change maker, try to make the world a better place. So we are actually focusing on the impact, positive impact, and then we are supporting a startup who are trying to make the world a better place. And it requires sort of an unleashing moment, and leapfrogging technology requires. So that's why we like to hear the voice from the startup founders, how to make it happen, and also what was the unleashing moment, things like that. So that's intention. So I think welcome Joginda Prasakti from India. Thank you for coming to Singapore from far, India. Please take it over, please.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you, Atushi, and I hope everyone can hear me.
Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. So actually, thank you for the time, and I have just divided this into three sections. So the first section is I would just like to tell a little bit about pulse active stations and what we do here, and then after that there will be a small discussion with Atsushi-san, and then in the end there is a personal presentation also about what I would like to offer to the Mistletoe community, and what I would like to collaborate with on something new with the Mistletoe community. So I'll just get started with the first presentation. Yeah. So I'm just yeah. So first of all, once again, I thank the Mistletoe community for giving me this opportunity to be with you all and talk to you. And I'm so glad that even though, of course, it's not a physical meeting, at least we had the opportunity to catch up virtually. So this is Pulse Active Stations. It's the largest network of smart health kiosks in India. Right now, we are in 150 locations in 106 cities across India. We have top government and corporate alliances. We have covered more than 450,000 users. That is just before the COVID pandemic struck, and now some of the sites are in suspended mode. We were adding 1,000 new users every day, and we are waiting for things to get back to normal. We are a Y Combinator company, and apart from that, of course, we are supported by the Mistletoe community and ASICS, which is the Japanese sports equipment maker. These are some of the other famous Y Combinator companies like Airbnb, Reddit, Dropbox. This, of course, you must be knowing about them also. So this is where we are in India. So as you can see, we have covered most of India from the north to the south, to the east to the west. In fact, I'm very happy that we are also in the southernmost point of India, as well as the northernmost point of India. And we are in all types of public places. Basically, what we do is we take our health kiosk and we keep it in public places such as metro railway stations, bus stands, malls, theaters, hospitals, even exhibition centers, and so on. These are some of the photographs of the deployment. As you can see, wherever we keep the kiosk, we have a very good crowd, because what we find is that people generally do want to know about their health, but they don't have the time and the opportunity to go for a health checkup actually. So by placing the kiosk in a public place where people are coming and going, for example, a commuting center such as the metro railway station, then it gets easier for people to know about their health parameters, and then they can take decisions, informed decisions about their health as well as their family's health. These are some of the articles about us in the news. So I'm very happy that we were one of the favorite startups by TechCrunch in Y Combinator Demo Day. Apart from that, even the Honorable President of India, he appreciated what we are doing, and he asked us to place a kiosk in the President's Palace in New Delhi, which we'll be doing. We are working on a few upgrades. Then if you look on the right-hand side, you will see that there's a small box which says customer generated content. So the good thing about this is that even though we didn't upload any videos of ourselves to YouTube, we found that a lot of people were taking videos and uploading about their experiences, which goes to show that people are very happy with us. This is the kiosk and the general experience flow. So the interesting point is all our kiosks are manned. So the advantage of having a manned kiosk is that number one, of course, you create employment. So you have a young boy or girl who's standing at the kiosk, and then they can explain about the benefits of the kiosk and the health parameters to the user, as well as they can also upsell and cross-sell partnership products. For example, we are partnered with Decathlon. So Decathlon is one of the world's largest sports equipment retailer. So they can also sell the Decathlon products to the customer, or insurance, health insurance, and so on. Essentially, we are very strict about data privacy and data security. So the first thing that the user has to do is they have to give a data consent. So there's a proper form which is explained to them by the kiosk operator. Then only after reading the form and they give their consent by touching the touchscreen, then only the system moves forward. Then there's also a disclaimer and a release for pre-existing conditions. For example, somebody might be already having heart trouble or diabetes, and we make sure that those are also covered when we are doing the test. After that, we collect basic data such as their name, the date of birth. Then we show them the different types of tests. They receive a printed report. And this, again, a very important point, that the person on the ground explains the report to the customer. And that also helps to add as a human connect for us. And then there's an SMS to see the report, and that goes to the app. And then the engagement with the customer starts in a different way. That is the digital engagement. What we did is that we started off with the basic testing, that is the body composition analysis. For example, one of the important things that I also came to know is that percentage body fat is actually more important than BMI, because a person might have a good BMI, but they may not be healthy because they may look thin, for example, but actually that's more fat than muscle. So that's why we started off with the body composition analysis to show people that they have to look beyond your weight. So weight is not the only number that you have to look up when you're trying to get healthy. We added pulse rate and SpO2, and also blood pressure and blood sugar. One of the interesting things we did is we added lung function testing, and this actually turned out to be very useful last year because, as you might be knowing, that New Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world, and especially around November, December, there's a lot of smoke pollution in Delhi. So that time we did a lot of lung function testing for people in Delhi, and they were very happy to know that. So normal lung function testing is no use to the customer, but when you give a score and you relate that score to the environment, then people start to understand how their lungs are being affected by environmental pollution and what they can do about it. We are also adding diabetic retinopathy, and body temperature has been recently added. This is the kind of report people get. As you can see that the report is very picturesque, and there are a lot of numbers and there are scales, so that the person can get a better idea, a visual indication of where they exactly stand. And different aspects of health, we have given scores to them, so that kind of gamifies it. So what we find is that when we gamify these health aspects and people get scores, they start communicating with their peers. So for example, if you if you look here, right? So if you see this on the right hand side, the photograph, the mall photograph. So I was the operator that time, and I found that when a person comes and they have a like a group of friends came that day. That was the first time I noticed it. And when one friend got a score of 9 by 10, the other people all wanted to see whether they could beat that score. So that way, the gamification really helps. Instead of presenting, a very boring and dull data to people, we give it in a very nice and visual representation. Apart from that, one of the important things we also do is that we made a AI engine which actually gives recommendations to the people on how they can improve their health based on specific parameters. And this also actually it gets better and better with the more data we collect. Because there's a very important thing which people should know. A lot of standards are actually WHO standards, which are defined for Caucasian males, and those have been continuing forever because there's a lot of pharma companies also which want to use the same standards. Where, for example, we found that blood pressure in India is generally higher, and the same goes for BMI, because we cannot compare, say, a Caucasian male's body type with Indian body type or South Asian body type. So these are some of the recommendations which can get better for us, and which is the point of having a live health data network. As I was telling that once the hard copy of the report is given, then there is an SMS engagement and SMS and WhatsApp also, which enables the person to start linking to our health system, which is online. So I'm happy to inform that even in the COVID pandemic, like when everything is suspended, still people are coming back to us and asking us to connect to the online system so they can see their previous reports. So these are some of the interesting studies we found when we surveyed our customers across India. And as you can see, there are a lot of people who are unwell, but they don't know it. So we actually found that many people don't know they are, they're either pre-diabetic, which is they're about to get diabetic, or they're already diabetic because they're asymptomatic. And the symptoms, essentially in such cases, symptoms will strike, and then there will be no time for them to even, get well or take care of themselves. So we found that a lot, randomly people are coming to us in a public place and finding out that they are unwell. So that is one of the good things which happened by starting the Pulse Active Station network. So we were able to make people informed about what they can do with their health. So based on that only, we actually released in February. We released the largest. We released a research study with the largest such sample size of 400,000 people. And based on this study, we were able to define some new standards, like I said, for BMI, blood pressure, and other health aspects. And it is our intention to release this study on a quarterly basis, or at least a biannual basis. So one of the interesting things is that the kiosk is completely made in India. So I had gone to China before that, and I will explain later about my background and experience. But after going to China, I realized that we can actually make this kiosk ourselves, and we made a completely. It took me about a year, and we designed and developed a completely new health kiosk, and that helped us a lot because we were able to go on customizing it and adding features to it as we went forward. So we got the experience in product design, development, and manufacturing as well. And we also made it look attractive. So it's a very tall device, which is about 7 feet tall, 7.5 feet actually. So you can see it from any place. And the interesting thing why it's so tall is because my Dutch friends came over, and originally it was only 6 feet tall, and my Dutch friends could not, as you know, the people in the Netherlands are the tallest people in the world. So they couldn't fit into the kiosk. So then we made it 7.5 feet, and that helped us because it became a very visible system. And we also added some signage, for advertising. As you can see, there are screens in the kiosk. So that helps us to run messages like public messages or advertisements so people can see them. So ours is a patent pending product. We have already applied for the patent in India. Apart from that, we have gone for CE certification and various even NFT extension and so on. So the point of me telling this also is that as I will explain later, these are some of the inputs I can offer to the Mistletoe community members. These are the patent application and the certificates which we received for our electronics kiosk. This is my team. So I'm the founder and the CEO, and I am an IoT entrepreneur. I have about 16 years of experience in manufacturing and supply chain, especially for Internet of Things product development. Apart from that, my passion is I'm a full stack developer, both software and hardware. And my colleague is Dr. Vikram Agarwal, who comes with a very rich background of not only being accomplished medical professional, but he's also MBA in marketing and healthcare from one of the prestigious institutes in India, the Indian School of Business. And before joining us, he was heading various hospitals such as the Apollo Group of Hospitals and the Birla Group of Hospitals and so on. So what did we, so this brings me to the end of this presentation, and I just like to say a few points that, last April to June, we have been actually, our operations have been suspended because the country went into a lockdown, as you might be knowing. But we didn't we didn't stay quiet during that time. In fact, we came up with a few new products during this time. So the first thing we did is that we made a new kind of pulse active station, which helps us to collect data and relate it to comorbidity. And this is very important because enough to know that it's not just enough to collect sample of COVID for COVID testing. You should also know that what are the comorbid conditions of the people, because it is highly likely that all of us will get COVID-19 at some point. But it is important to know that how many of us will actually have a chance to survive, or how many of us will have a chance to get sick. And this is very important for governments to know, because based on this, they can actually allocate their resources. Because if you have 1,000 beds and if 10,000 people test positive for COVID, you need to know how many people have to be allocated to those 1,000 beds. So this is what we had come up with for the Pulse Anti-COVID station. Apart from this, so this was actually very extensively covered in the media, and I'm very happy to inform that even Forbes Japan covered it, which was a big milestone for me and the company actually. And apart from that, we also came up with a small kiosk for measuring, for taking care of your office. So what I noticed is that when people are entering an office or any industrial area now in India especially, so you start collecting their temperature, their contact details. Contact tracing is very big now in India. Any place you go, whether it's a coffee shop or it's an office, you have contact tracing. So we thought we'll make it automatic system for that. And we also added SpO2. That's very important now, because actually more and more as we get into this pandemic, we are realizing all over the world that even more than body temperature, it is important to know your blood oxygen level on a regular basis, because a lot of people are literally, they are very unfortunately, they are dying suddenly. They were asymptomatic, but they're dying suddenly, and then people come to know that their blood oxygen had dropped to very low levels. So this is the kiosk which we have made, which we are now placing in different locations. As you can see, it starts with offices and then it goes to industrial areas. So this was about pulse active stations, and I thank you all for listening.
All right. Thank you so much. And there's just some questions I have and I need to ask. And so actually, this is quite amazing, because you taking out some, equipment from hospital to the in town, and of course station, for example. So how did you come up this idea? Suddenly, it's kind of out of the box, right? It's so different.
Yeah. So actually, how it started in the first place, right? Yeah. So actually, before my 35th birthday, I went for a medical checkup, and then I came to know that because of my lifestyle, I'm pre-diabetic, pre-hypertensive, and basically on the way for a lot of problems. And then I understood that your lifestyle doesn't really matter till you reach a certain age. After that, everything starts affecting. So it's basically like you can drink the whole night, but get up without a hangover if you are maybe 29 or 30. But you can't go on doing that forever. And then somewhere your body will start feeling it. So I started to get into shape, and I had tried many things to get into shape, but what worked this time was that I started using a wearable. So my wife gifted me a Fitbit, and then I started seeing that by just maintaining a very simple point like 10,000 steps a day. So even if I came back home, I would do that 10,000 in my bedroom. So I just make sure that I'm sticking to a number. So then I understood the importance of quantification. And when I understood the importance of quantification, I wanted to bring it to everybody in India, because in India we don't have that. It's not a very strong concept. And then I wanted to know how can you take it to the people. So actually there used to be a very common machine called the if you can see my screen, I'm just so some of us have seen this in different places in railway stations. Can you see my screen?
You'll need
I'll
to
just
share
share it
it again.
Yeah, I'm just sharing it again. Yeah. Yeah. So if you see my screen, right? So you're seeing this image called it's about if you see, these are all weighing machine kiosks. So at one time they used to be everywhere in India, in the railway stations, in movie theaters, bus stands, and so on. And I believe they were there in a lot of places across the world as well. And one of the important things about them was that they were fun. So it is not a boring thing which tells you about your weight. It's fun. So the report which comes out, a small token, it always has a prediction. It shows you maybe you're going to meet somebody today, or maybe some actress's photo or something like that. So it was a lot of fun. So that's when I realized to make a kiosk which will make it fun for people.
Well, Jaginda, it's kind of weird because when I visited India first time, I couldn't understand what it is, right? And then people actually step on it, and then ta-da! It's a big noise, and also some, it's like something entertainment machine.
Yes, exactly. It was fun. Yeah.
That's an amazing moment, and yeah, it's quite interesting. But okay, then what do you think? It's at this moment the physical measurement, mainly, right? So what do you think about emotional measurement or mental measurement, something like that? Do you think that will be available in the future?
Yeah, so actually, EEG measurement is actually taken off quite well. So though it is, in fact, I was very happy to know when I visited Singapore last year, and I was with Jeremy, and then he mentioned that some of his students had also, some of the people he's working with had also come up with this, being able to control the drone through mind. So I think for us, it is a part of our product roadmap to add emotional well-being at the point. And there are two ways we are looking at it. One is, measuring stress through, say, handheld ECG measurement. So you use your fingers and then touch our kiosk, and then you can get a ECG measurement, which will tell you the type of stress you have. And the other one is that, if you have an EEG helmet which can measure your stress levels. Of course, there is an issue that there will be a lot of noise because these are in public places, but this is part of the part of our roadmap actually.
Yeah, that's fantastic because physically, mentally, emotionally, in combinations, that's a very important as sort of a checkup, system. And so final question from my side is that, kind of unleashing moment or leapfrogging moment, I don't know, in the past or now or future, what do you think about your unleashing moment and leapfrogging moment?
Yeah, I think the unleashing moment is, there are two types of unleashing moments I would look at. One type of unleashing moment is the spread of this network. So an interesting thing which Atsushi, when it's actually written still on my board in the office, it says live health data network. So you imagine that these kiosks are there all over the world. And then if you want to, for example, you're fighting a pandemic and you want to know if people have symptoms. So all you have to do is ask it a question that, ask the system a question that, how many people around the world right now have flu symptoms? And because it's in a public place, we get a very good idea. And that actually is a very big unleashing moment, which if harnessed properly can actually help administrations and public health in a very efficient manner to take care of public health with less resources. That is one unleashing moment. The second unleashing moment would be if we can combine this with personal variables. So that actually, so then we are no longer. So one thing you must, one thing I would like to just share with everybody. So a lot of people used to ask me that why haven't you gone the wearable route? So the wearable route, there are a lot of people who already make wearables. Like I myself use wearables. Now I moved from a Fitbit to a Garmin because I started to run, and but at the same time, I felt that there are a lot of people who don't have wearables or who don't know what a wearable can do to them. So these are the people we are first going after with the Pulse Active Station. And once we reach a critical mass, our aim is also to release our own variable. And when we do that, then that would be a second unleashing moment.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's quite important because providing a easy to access and affordable, and also always available, right? So that's actually I think it's a very different type of a public healthcare infrastructure and foundation. So that'll be great. So you have another final pitch, not pitch, but final sort of. Right?
Just before that, I'll just show our 1 minute video. So it's just 1 minute, and then I will go to my next.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So for I think the 1 minute video, I will just. So I'm just starting a video.
India is a vast country with an ever-growing population, and not everyone has access to basic health screening facilities. But everyone in India, everyone takes the train. That's why we came up with the Pulse Active Station Kiosk. This is a smart health kiosk which we place in train stations and other public places. And at very affordable rates, starting at ₹50, we make basic health screening accessible to all. Each Pulse Active station is manned by our trained operator who explains about the different types of tests and the final report. And together, all our IoT-enabled Pulse Active stations make up the Pulse Active Station Network. And in association with our partners, we are becoming the single point of contact for all healthcare services. One team, 1.3 billion users. That's Pulse Active Stations Network.
Yeah, thanks for watching the video. Now I'll just quickly go over to my personal presentation. So where I would like to just tell a bit about myself to our community members and what I'm looking at to support. How can I support the community members and what I would like to collaborate with. Yeah, I'm just starting that. So again, thanks to the Mistletoe Group and the community for giving me this opportunity. So I have, when I first met, my first interaction with Mistletoe Group is through Atsushi-san and then Naho-san. And then I met Jeremy and of course, Mr. Taizo-san. And when I first met everybody, right, it really amazed me and it made me feel like finally I belong somewhere, because there's a group of people, there's a community of people which is actually working on changing the world, and in a very interesting way. So it is not that, so the whole point of the Mistletoe community is that the network effect which people are having. So one change actually has the potential to change the entire world and make it a better society for people to live in. And I really found that very fascinating. So I'm very, very glad to be here. And now I'd like to just tell a little bit about myself. In fact, what you see in the corner is actually when I visited Audacity, I found I think that is the Vitruvian Man concept. So I really enjoyed it. And now I'd just like to say, so actually I'm, as I mentioned, I'm a full stack developer. Apart from that, I'm also a hardware designer. And these are few of the inventions I have come up with over the years. So the first one is called Lifeboat. It was very dear to me, but I realized about the market potential after making it. So it was basically a small device which fits to your phone and make sure that your phone never runs out of battery. And also at the same time, it has a panic button in it. And because I found that it doesn't matter how much your battery capacity keeps going on. For example, I use a OnePlus phone now, but you still run out of battery. So your battery booster always ensures that it never runs out of battery and it sticks to your phone. Then I had made a metal padlock for container movement, so that whenever somebody tries to break open the container in the shipping container, you get an alert. Then a thing which was very dear to me is a collapsible suitcase support, because I'm always on the move. And if I leave my house, I don't know when I will come back. So I think, one of our Mistletoe members, Naho-san also is the same way. So I always have to carry a very heavy suitcase, and there are a number of stairs I have to negotiate. So I made a small suitcase support which I can pack in the suitcase and carry my suitcase over it. Then at the same time, when I was riding a bike, I realized the need for a bone conducting hands-free device. And another interesting device which I had made was a handheld ECG-based stress monitor. So the main thing was, so whereas there are a number of ECG-based, handheld ECG-based devices, the important thing is how do you make it relatable to the person, to the user. So for that, you have a stress score. So which is what I made. Apart from that, some of my software creations is, I had made a software called Root Rishi, which we used for a local food delivery startup where I was part of, and it was a route optimizer. Then I also worked with our police forces in the country for making a call network analysis system. And then one of my favorites is, an XBAR, which I had exhibited in the UAE, which is an app-controlled cocktail maker. So these are actually projects which I have taken up at different times for my personal satisfaction. That's why some of them, that's why they have not been commercialized. But the point of me discussing these with you is to show you that my interests and capabilities. Then what I offer to the global mistletoe community. So by now I have a lot of real world experience and connects in public health because of pulse active stations, then logistics, and of course Internet of Things. And when I say logistics, is because before pulse active stations, my previous company, we were designing and manufacturing GPS tracking equipment for logistics sector. Then rapid scaling up. So for example, in 3 months, actually, we went from 30 locations in India to 150 locations across India. So that is where the experience in rapid scaling up comes in. Then these three things: rapid product research and development, commercial manufacturing, and quick go-to-market. This is very dear to me because I find there are a lot of people, they have a very good product idea, but the William Shockley, right? So he said that, a lot of people have ideas, but in the shower, right, you think you're having a shower, you have a good idea, but unless you get out there and make the idea, it doesn't really matter. So I find that a lot of people get stuck in this. So they go on working on their products. I know people who started off at the same time as me, maybe 3 years ago, but they're still working on their products. Their products have not even seen the light of day. Whereas I'm in favor of, quickly get it out to the market, get it tested by the actual customer, and then decide for yourself whether you want to commercialize it or you take it ahead. So along this way, I built up a very good knowledge about the supply chain and how to do this. So I'll be very happy if somebody has some product development to do in mind and I can help them take it to the market. Then another personal passion is calisthenics. And I find calisthenics very, very fascinating because I never knew that by controlling your body, you can actually take it to next levels of functionality. So this also, and the interesting thing about calisthenics is that you're always a learner. So I'm still a learner in calisthenics, and I'll be very happy to team up with anybody who's also learning calisthenics and in a way gymnastics. So what I would like to collaborate on. So one of my personal concepts which I'm really interested is about the body battery concept. So actually Garmin came out with the body battery concept in the recent, it's there in the apps recently, but it doesn't really make sense. I'm sure they have used some logic behind it, but as a person who quantifies everything I do, I don't find that to be very, very useful for me. Then recently I was having a discussion with Atsushi-san, and then I realized that this is something which really needs to be worked on because you have so much data from all your variables. Like I use a Garmin, I use a Fitbit, I use so many variables, but all those numbers, some of them make sense to me for some of the activities, but how do you correlate them all to make sure that they come together? And then they tell you, okay, this is how much energy I have, and this is how much energy I don't have, and this is what is affecting me. Sleep is a subject which is very rarely studied. But I find that sleep is a very, very critical component for our human functioning. People take pride in sleeping for 2 hours, 3 hours and being functional, but you can't go on doing that forever. At some point, it takes a toll. So these are the things I want to quantify. And when you can quantify these things, then it comes into a social network actually. How can you take it to the community? That's why I have two images here. One image is the body battery concept for the individual. And the other is how do you take this to, a wise city, like Jeremy just mentioned in the chat, a wise city, right? So wise city is something where the people who are in the wise city, they know when they have to take rest, they know what they can achieve right now. So these are very important things because it's not just physical, it's also mental. And of course, it has an effect on immunity. And this is also one of the things we should link it to because the COVID-19 pandemic has brought us to the understanding that we can expect to be in this kind of pandemics for the next 3 or 4 years at least, So here I offer my technical resource, and of course, Dr. Agarwal on my team, who's also on the call, my teammate, Dr. Agarwal. So he's a medical expert, and if anybody else would like to collaborate on this, their passion is enough, and I would like to do the collaboration. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I think that's great because as Yang mentioned that, Jaden mentioned that we are looking for mentor network, right? So definitely please join us as mentor and also collaborator from technical perspective, especially a lot of people actually struggling to develop the hardwares. As you know, it's not easy, right? Supply chain wise and also design wise. It would be great, of course you are so busy, but you have some spare time.
Oh.
It would be great to help us and then, support, young guy. Of course, you're still maybe young, but, there are much more young
I'm going to be
people.
40. Yeah.
So you are in between, right? So that's why I think it's great, for you to support young guys from various aspects. Thank you so much. Okay. Any question from audience, or otherwise maybe John will take this over, I guess, or somebody?
I had a question on what types of data are you able to collect? So I saw that you had things for pre-diabetics and hypertension. So I was curious if you could share with us some of the sensors that you're able to use to get this information.
Yeah, so actually the sensor which I started off with is actually the body composition analyzer. So that is so that was developed in-house, and the body composition depends on impedance method of body fat measurement. So there are basically, according to the impedance theory, so there are 4 compartments in the body, that is muscle, fat, water, and protein. And a very mild electric current, about a milliampere, is sent, microampere is sent through the body at different frequencies. At different frequencies, it gets a different impedance resistance from the body. And then there are some empirical formulae, which some of them are standard and some of them we developed in association with the hospital. So that is the first sensor. So basically you have, you might have seen these machines in gyms. So you have, you put your hands on the body fat analyzer and your feet on the body fat analyzer, and then there's a current which goes through the body. So that is one sensor. Then for the SpO2 and the heart rate, we use a probe, like a SpO2 probe. And but now I'm working on a non-contact SpO2 probe, because one of the interesting things I found is nobody wants to use the same probe again and again, especially because of the COVID pandemic. And a non-contact SpO2 probe is possible, but there are some accuracy issues with that. So actually right now what we are doing is we are trying to refine the software algorithm to ensure that there is there's a better accuracy between, say, an Omron finger probe and a non-contact SpO2 meter. Then for the ECG also, because we already have electrodes for the hands and feet, so we are able to take some. So it's not a 12-lead ECG, but the whole point is not for, it's a public place and you're just there for 1 minute or 2 minutes. So it's not that we are giving you a medical grade. We want to give you a medical grade experience, but we don't certify it as a medical grade experience. And then for the EEG, the mental things, we wanted to make a helmet, so we are still working on that. So these are basically it's different sensors which are coming in together to give you the complete picture.
Yeah, that's great. I think Yoginda can develop all those, combination technology into one for maybe flourishing project, I'm sure. So it could be great, maybe separately Shane and also Yoginda talk to each other, maybe how to collaborate, for that angle. That'd be great. Yeah.
I'm wondering also if there's any chance that in all the data that is collected that you're able to see seasonal trends, especially like now we're talking about outbreaks, and whether like maybe there's a shift in the certain period of the year that people are suffering from maybe higher sugar or high blood pressure, then you will be able to advise people that this might be due to certain reasons. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually. So you're saying relating the health parameters to seasonal, to temporal basis, right?
Yeah.
So actually that's very interesting. So we did publish a study like I mentioned, but the temporal part of it we have to actually analyze. So there's a lot of things we can do. So we do have a lot of data. In fact, if somebody wants to study the data anonymously also, right? So we can, I mean, anonymous data. So we have a proper data privacy agreement also. So we can actually give you some of the data, so you can run through it and let us know what you feel about the analysis. So we have date, time, and location apart from all the other data. If you would like, we would be very happy to share it.
Great, thank you very much. So then this conclude this first version of Misuto Unleashed. So every month, we're gonna invite founders and also startup guys. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Cool. Yes, so the next segment is actually a casual social hour, or half an hour or 15 minutes with the time left, or you can stay on as long as you want. We're going to be going to another platform, so everyone will leave Zoom and go into Gather Town, and that's where we can experience an out of the usual online social interaction. Yeah, works best on Chrome and Firefox. That's right. So thank you all for joining us, and see you in Gather Town.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.